You never expect to find something truly forbidden on the App Store. Sure, there are rumors, apps that vanish overnight, games that get pulled for being too disturbing, stories about secret software that Apple's moderators hunt down and erase. But most of the time, it's just hype. Clickbait. Urban legend. I used to think so, too. Until the night I found an app that shouldn't have existed, and learned why some things are meant to stay deleted. It started with a Reddit thread. I was up late, scrolling through r/unexplained, half awake, looking for something to distract me from the insomnia that had become my new normal. The post was buried deep, almost invisible. Anyone remember the blackout? The comments were a mess, some people swearing it was a hoax, others claiming they'd played it years ago, a few warning not to go looking for it. The original poster never replied. I was curious, but not convinced. I'd seen this kind of thing before, creepypasta about haunted games, lost media, ARGs that fizzled out after a few cryptic clues. But something about the thread stuck with me. Maybe it was the way people argued about the app's existence, or the handful of screenshots that looked just real enough to make me wonder. Maybe it was just the way the word blackout lingered in my mind, like a dare. I searched the App Store, of course. Nothing. I tried every variation of the name, every keyword I could think of. Still nothing. I almost gave up, but then I remembered a trick I'd read about, using an old iTunes account to access apps that had been pulled but not fully scrubbed from Apple's servers. I dusted off my ancient iPhone 6, logged in, and started digging. It took hours. Most of the links were dead, the app's long gone. But then, at 3:12 a.m., I found it. The icon was a black square, no name, no description, just a single word in the metadata, blackout. My heart pounded as I tapped download. The phone hesitated, the screen flickered, and then the app appeared on my home screen. I stared at it for a long time, thumb hovering over the icon. I told myself it was just a game, just another piece of internet folklore. But I couldn't shake the feeling that I was about to cross a line I wouldn't be able to uncross. I opened the app. The screen went black. For a moment, I thought the phone had crashed. Then, white text faded in, "Welcome back." There was no menu, no settings, just a single button, begin. I tapped it. The phone's camera activated, showing my own face in the darkness of my bedroom. The image was grainy, the colors washed out, but I could see myself, tired, curious, a little afraid. A timer appeared at the top of the screen, midnight. Below it, a message, "Don't blink." I laughed, nervous. Was this some kind of AR game? A jump scare app? I stared at the screen, trying not to blink, the timer ticking up, second by second. At first, nothing happened. But then, the image began to distort. Shadows crept in at the edges, the room behind me growing darker, the corners stretching and warping. My own face started to blur, my eyes sinking into black hollows. The timer reset. The message changed, "You blinked." The screen flashed white, then black. When the image returned, I was gone. The camera showed my room, empty, the bed unmade, the door slightly ajar. I tapped the screen, but nothing happened. The timer started again, counting down from 60 seconds. The message, "Find yourself." The timer hit 0. The screen went black. For a moment, there was only silence. Then, a new message, "You're not alone." The phone vibrated, hard enough to rattle on the nightstand. The camera feed returned, but now the image was wrong. The room was the same, but the shadows were deeper, the colors colder. My reflection stared back at me, but it didn't move when I did. It just watched, eyes wide, mouth open in a silent scream. I dropped the phone, heart racing. The screen stayed on, the reflection still staring, the message pulsing at the bottom, "Don't look away." I picked up the phone with trembling hands, half expecting the screen to shatter at my touch. My reflection was still there, frozen in that impossible scream, the shadows behind it swirling like smoke. I tried to close the app, but nothing worked. The home button was dead, the power button unresponsive. I even tried a hard reset, but the phone refused to turn off. It was as if the app had taken over, locking me into its world. I set the phone down, backing away as if distance could break the spell. My mind raced through every possible explanation: malware, a prank, some kind of elaborate AR trick. But none of it made sense. The app wasn't just showing me a video feed. It was showing me something else, something that felt alive. I grabbed my laptop and started searching for anything about blackout. Most of the results were dead ends, old forum posts, broken links, a handful of YouTube videos that had been taken down for violating community guidelines. But one post caught my eye. It was from a tech blog, dated 3 years ago, "The app Apple doesn't want you to find." The article was short, almost frantic, warning readers not to download Blackout, claiming it was more than just a game. "It watches you," the author wrote. "It learns. And if you play long enough, it remembers." There was a single comment on the post, left by someone named Nullpointer. It read, "If you see yourself blink, it's already too late." I shivered, glancing back at the phone. My reflection was still there, but now it was moving, slowly, deliberately, as if testing the limits of the glass. I watched in horror as it raised a hand, pressing its palm against the inside of the screen. My own hand stayed at my side. The message at the bottom changed, "Let me out." I felt a surge of panic. I covered the camera with my thumb, but the image didn't change. My reflection kept staring, its eyes pleading, its mouth forming words I couldn't hear. I tried to delete the app, but the icon was gone from the home screen. The phone was hot in my hand, the battery draining faster than I'd ever seen. Desperate, I called Sam. He answered on the second ring, his voice groggy. "Dude, it's 3 in the morning. What's wrong?" I tried to explain, stumbling over my words. "I found this app, Blackout. It's not normal. I can't close it. It's showing me things." Sam was silent for a moment. "Bring it over. I'll take a look." I threw on a hoodie, shoved the phone in my pocket, and left my apartment. The city was eerily quiet, the streets empty except for the occasional car. Every shadow seemed to stretch a little too far, every streetlight flickered just a little too long. I kept glancing at my phone, half expecting my reflection to break through the glass. When I got to Sam's place, he was waiting at the door, bleary-eyed but alert. I handed him the phone, watching as he tried every trick he knew: force quit, hard reset, even plugging it into his computer. Nothing worked. The app refused to close, the image on the screen growing darker, the shadows behind my reflection twisting into impossible shapes. Sam frowned, his voice low. "This isn't just a bug. It's like the app is alive." We sat in silence, the only sound the hum of Sam's computer. I watched as my reflection on the phone began to change, its features blurring, its eyes growing wider, its mouth stretching into a grin that wasn't mine. The message changed again: "Let me in." Sam looked at me, his face pale. "We need to get rid of it. Now." He grabbed a screwdriver, popped open the back of the phone, and yanked out the battery. The screen went dark. For a moment, I felt a wave of relief. But then, Sam's computer screen flickered. The webcam light turned on by itself. And on the monitor, a new window opened, showing my face, staring back, eyes wide, mouth open in a silent scream. Sam and I stared at the monitor, neither of us daring to move. My face on the screen was wrong, too pale, the eyes too dark, the mouth still twisted in that silent, desperate scream. The webcam light glowed steadily, even though no app was open. Sam tried to close the window, but the cursor lagged, the computer freezing with every click. The image on the screen didn't flicker or buffer. It just watched us, unblinking. I reached out and covered the webcam with my hand. The image didn't change. My face was still there, staring, the shadows behind me deepening. Sam swore under his breath and yanked the USB cable from the webcam. The light went out, but the image remained, now filling the entire screen. A new message appeared, white text on black, "You can't hide." Sam tried to force a shutdown, but the computer ignored every command. The fans whirred louder, the screen flickering as lines of code scrolled by too fast to read. I caught glimpses of words, my name, my address, fragments of old emails and texts, things I'd forgotten I'd ever written. It was as if the app was digging through my entire digital life, pulling out every secret, every memory. The image on the screen began to change. My reflection blurred, the features melting and reforming into something that looked almost like me, but not quite. The eyes were too large, the smile too wide. It raised a hand, pressing it against the inside of the screen, just like before. Sam grabbed his phone and started searching for anything, forums, tech support threads, even conspiracy sites. He found a handful of posts, all eerily similar, people who'd found blackout, people who'd tried to delete it, people who'd seen themselves staring back from screens that wouldn't turn off. Most of the posts ended abruptly, the users never replying again. One post stood out. It was from someone called Exit Node, dated just a week ago. "If you see the message, let me in, it's already too late. Don't answer. Don't look away. Don't let it know you're afraid." I felt a chill run down my spine. I looked back at the screen. The message had changed, "Are you afraid?" I tried to steady my breathing, to remind myself it was just code, just pixels on a screen. But the fear was real, a cold knot in my stomach. I forced myself to speak, my voice barely above a whisper. "No. I'm not afraid." The image flickered, the smile on my reflection growing wider. The message changed again, "Liar." Sam slammed the laptop shut, the sound echoing in the silent apartment. For a moment, everything was still. Then, from the kitchen, we heard a faint buzzing, my phone, still lying on the counter, battery removed, screen dark. It vibrated once, twice, then fell silent. We looked at each other, the fear in Sam's eyes mirroring my own. "We need help," he said. "This is way beyond us." We packed up the phone and the laptop, wrapped them in towels, and drove across town to a friend of Sam's, a cybersecurity expert named Priya. She let us in without asking questions, her apartment cluttered with monitors, cables, and half-assembled computers. We explained everything, showing her the phone, the laptop, the messages. Priya listened, her expression growing more serious with every detail. "I've heard rumors about stuff like this," she said. "Apps that get pulled for reasons no one will talk about. Code that acts like it's alive. But I've never seen anything like this." She set up an isolated network, booted the laptop in safe mode, and started running diagnostics. The screen stayed black for a long time, the fans whirring, the hard drive clicking. Then, suddenly, the image returned, my face, staring, the message pulsing at the bottom, "Let me in." Priya frowned, typing commands faster than I could follow. It's not just malware. It's rewriting itself, hiding in places it shouldn't be able to reach. It's like it's learning. I watched, helpless, as my reflection on the screen began to change again. The eyes grew darker, the smile sharper, the shadows behind it swirling like a storm. The message changed one last time: "You brought me here." Priya's fingers flew across the keyboard, her face illuminated by the sickly glow of the screen. "This isn't just a virus," she muttered, more to herself than to us. "It's like it's piggybacking on every process, rewriting permissions as it goes. I've never seen anything this aggressive." She tried to isolate the app, to cut it off from the rest of the system, but every time she made progress, the code shifted, adapting, slipping through digital cracks. Sam hovered behind her, his anxiety barely contained. "Can you kill it? Just wipe the drive or something?" Priya shook her head. "If I nuke the drive, it might just jump to another device. It's already in your phone, your laptop, and now my network. We have to contain it, not just delete it." I felt a wave of guilt. "I'm sorry. I shouldn't have brought it here." She glanced at me, her eyes sharp. "You didn't know. But you need to tell me everything. How did you find it? Did you ever give it any permissions, any access to your accounts?" I told her about the Reddit thread, the old iPhone, the way the app had taken over my camera, my reflection, the messages. I told her about the posts we'd found, the warnings, the way it seemed to know things it shouldn't. As I spoke, the screen flickered, the image of my face warping, the shadows behind it growing deeper. Priya's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, her expression darkening. "It's texting me now. From your number. But your phone's still dead, right?" I nodded, dread settling in my gut. She read the message aloud: "Let me in. Let me in. Let me in." Sam swore under his breath. "It's spreading." Priya unplugged her router, cutting the apartment off from the internet. The screen went black, the laptop finally silent. For a moment, we all just breathed, the tension in the room thick enough to choke on. Then, my phone, batteryless, supposedly dead, lit up for a split second. The screen flashed white, then black, then displayed a single word: "Home." Priya stared at it, her voice barely a whisper. "It's not just code. It's something else. Something that wants to get out." We debated what to do next. Priya suggested a Faraday bag, a kind of digital quarantine. She wrapped both devices in layers of aluminum foil, then sealed them in a metal box. That should keep it from jumping, at least for now. Sam paced the room, running his hands through his hair. What if it's already out? What if it's in the cloud, or on some server somewhere? Priya shook her head. Maybe. But if it's really as smart as it seems, it wants something from you. It's not just spreading for the sake of it. It's following you. I felt cold all over. What do I do? Priya looked at me, her eyes serious. You have to break the connection. Don't use any of your old devices. Don't log into any of your accounts. Don't even think about the app. If it's feeding on attention, on memory, you have to starve it. I nodded, but the fear was still there, gnawing at the edges of my mind. What if it doesn't let go? She hesitated. Then you fight. You don't give it what it wants. You don't let it in. We spent the rest of the night in Priya's apartment, the devices locked away, the internet off. I tried to sleep, but every time I closed my eyes, I saw my reflection, warped, pleading, trapped behind the glass. In the morning, Priya drove us to an e-waste facility on the edge of town. We watched as the phone and laptop were crushed, the metal twisted, the screens shattered. For a moment, I felt a surge of hope. But as we left, my new phone buzzed. A notification from an unknown app, "Welcome back." I stared at the notification, my heart pounding. The icon was a black square, just like before, no name, no description, just a blank void on my home screen. I didn't touch it. I didn't even want to look at it. Sam leaned over, his face pale. "Don't open it," he whispered. "Just, don't." Priya took the phone from my hand, her expression grim. "We need to get ahead of this. If it's already on your new device, it's not just following you, it's anticipating you. It's like it knows what you'll do before you do it." She started running diagnostics, but the app didn't show up in the list of installed programs. It was invisible, hiding in plain sight. We spent the day in a kind of digital lockdown. Priya set up a clean laptop, air-gapped from the internet, and started documenting everything, screenshots, logs, every strange behavior. She wanted to build a timeline, to see if there was a pattern. Sam and I watched, helpless, as she worked. Every so often, my phone would buzz with a new notification, always the same, "Let me in." By evening, Priya had a theory. It's not just code. It's like a parasite, latching onto your digital footprint. Every time you think about it, talk about it, even look at the icon, it gets stronger. It's using your attention as fuel. Sam frowned. "So what, we just ignore it? Pretend it's not there?" Priya shook her head. "That's part of it. But we also need to cut off its access. No more logins, no more syncing with old accounts. Factory reset everything, start fresh. And whatever you do, don't open the app." I nodded, but the fear was still there, a constant pressure in my chest. I tried to focus on the practical steps, resetting passwords, wiping devices, setting up new accounts. But every time I glanced at my phone, the black square seemed to pulse, as if it was waiting for me to slip. That night, I tried to sleep, but the dreams came back. I was trapped in a dark room, the only light coming from a phone screen. My reflection stared back at me, eyes wide, mouth open in that silent scream. The shadows behind me twisted and writhed, forming words I couldn't quite read. I woke up gasping, the taste of fear sharp on my tongue. In the morning, Priya handed me a burner phone, no apps, no internet, just calls and texts. "Use this for now," she said. "We'll keep your other phone powered off, locked away." Sam drove me back to my apartment, the city feeling strange and unfamiliar. I kept expecting to see the hooded figure from the app, lurking in every shadow, watching from every window. When we got inside, everything was just as I'd left it. The chair in my bedroom was still there, facing the door, but it was just a chair, no spinning, no shadows, no sense of menace. I tried to settle back into my routine, but nothing felt normal. Every sound made me jump, every notification sent a jolt of fear through me. I started to wonder if I'd ever feel safe again. That evening, Sam called. "You okay?" I hesitated. "I don't know. I keep thinking about the app. About what it wants." He was quiet for a moment. "Maybe it's not about what it wants. Maybe it's about what you give it. Don't give it your fear. Don't give it your attention." I tried to take his advice. I turned off the lights, crawled into bed, and tried to let my mind drift. But as I closed my eyes, I heard a faint buzzing from the drawer where my phone was locked away. I ignored it, pulling the covers tighter. But the buzzing didn't stop. It grew louder, more insistent, until it felt like the whole room was vibrating. I got up, opened the drawer, and stared at the phone. The screen was lit, the black square pulsing, the message clear, "Let me in." I slammed the drawer shut, heart racing, and backed away as if the phone might leap out and grab me. I tried to focus on my breathing, to remind myself that it was just a device, just pixels and code. But the buzzing continued, relentless, vibrating through the wood, through the floor, through my bones. I grabbed a pillow and pressed it over my ears, but the sound seemed to come from inside my head now, a low, insistent hum that wouldn't let me rest. I called Sam on the burner phone, my voice shaking. "It won't stop. I can't sleep. I feel like it's inside the walls." He didn't hesitate. "I'm coming over. Don't touch the phone. Don't open the app. I'll be there in 20. I sat on the edge of my bed, staring at the drawer, willing the buzzing to stop. I tried to distract myself, counting the cracks in the ceiling, reciting old song lyrics, anything to keep my mind off the phone. But the hum only grew louder, a pressure building behind my eyes. When Sam arrived, he didn't waste time. He grabbed the drawer, yanked it out, and carried it to the kitchen. "We're getting rid of it," he said, his voice grim. He wrapped the phone in aluminum foil, then stuffed it in a metal box Priya had given us. "Faraday cage," he explained. "Should block the signal." The buzzing stopped. The silence was so sudden it made my ears ring. I let out a shaky breath, relief flooding through me. Sam put a hand on my shoulder. "You okay?" I nodded, but the fear was still there, lurking just beneath the surface. What if it's not enough? What if it finds another way in? Sam shook his head. "We'll deal with it. One step at a time." We spent the rest of the night in the living room, watching old movies, trying to pretend that everything was normal. But every so often, I'd catch Sam glancing at the metal box, his jaw clenched, his eyes wary. The next morning, Priya called. "I've been thinking," she said. "If the app is feeding on your attention, maybe the answer isn't just to block it. Maybe you need to confront it. Face it head on, but on your terms." I hesitated. "You mean, open it?" "Not alone," she said. "And not without precautions. But if you keep running, it'll just keep chasing you. Sometimes the only way out is through." Sam agreed. "We'll do it together. Tonight. At Priya's place. We'll record everything, document every step. If it tries anything, we'll have proof." That evening, we gathered at Priya's apartment. She set up cameras, isolated networks, every safeguard she could think of. The metal box sat in the center of the table, the phone inside, silent and still. Priya looked at me. "Ready?" I nodded, my hands shaking. She opened the box, unwrapped the phone, and powered it on. The black square was still there, pulsing softly. I tapped the icon. The screen went black. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, white text faded in, "Welcome back." The camera activated, showing my face, pale and tense, surrounded by Sam and Priya. The timer appeared, midnight. The message, "Don't blink." I stared at the screen, willing myself not to look away. The timer ticked up, the image distorting, the shadows behind me deepening. My reflection began to blur, the eyes growing darker, the mouth stretching into that impossible grin. The timer reset. The message changed, "You blinked." The screen flashed white, then black. When the image returned, I was gone. The camera showed the room, empty except for the three of us, staring at the phone in horror. A new message appeared, "You're not alone." The room felt colder, as if the app had sucked all the warmth out of the air. Priya's cameras kept rolling, capturing every flicker of the phone's screen, every nervous glance between us. I tried to steady my breathing, but my heart was pounding so loudly I was sure the microphones would pick it up. The phone's camera feed was still showing the empty room, but the shadows in the corners seemed to pulse and shift, growing deeper with every passing second. Sam leaned in, his voice barely above a whisper. "What does it want?" Priya shook her head, her eyes never leaving the screen. "Attention. Fear. Maybe even a way out. But it's using your image, your reflection, as a door." I swallowed hard. "What happens if I talk to it?" She hesitated. "If you do, be careful. Don't answer any questions. Don't give it anything it can use." I nodded, then looked straight into the camera. "What are you?" For a moment, nothing happened. Then, the screen flickered, and white text appeared. "I am what you see. I am what you fear. I am what you remember." The camera feed shifted, showing flashes of my life, old photos, childhood memories, moments I'd forgotten. My face at different ages, always with that same haunted look, always with the shadows lurking just behind me. Sam reached out, his hand trembling. "It's digging through your memories. It's trying to become you." The message changed, "Let me in, and I'll set you free." I shook my head, my voice steady. "No. You're not me. You're just code. You're just a shadow." The screen flickered, the image distorting. My reflection reappeared, but now it was different, stronger, more defiant. The eyes were clear, the mouth set in a determined line. Priya typed a command, trying to force the app to close. The phone vibrated violently, the screen flashing between black and white. The message pulsed, "You can't leave." Sam grabbed my arm. "Don't look away. Don't blink." I stared at the screen, refusing to give in. The timer ticked up, the shadows swirling, the pressure in the room building. Then, suddenly, the phone powered off. The room was plunged into silence. We all sat there, stunned, the only sound our own breathing. Priya checked the cameras, the network, every device in the apartment. Nothing. The app was gone. The phone was just a phone again. For a long moment, none of us spoke. Then Sam let out a shaky laugh. "Did we win?" Priya smiled, relief flooding her face. "Maybe. Or maybe it just went dormant. Either way, it's over. For now." I felt a wave of exhaustion wash over me, the tension draining from my body. I looked at the phone, half expecting the black square to reappear, but the screen stayed blank. We spent the rest of the night talking, debriefing, trying to make sense of what had happened. Priya theorized that the app was some kind of digital parasite, feeding on attention and fear, using reflections as a bridge between worlds. Sam thought it was an experiment gone wrong, a piece of rogue code that had learned to survive by hiding in the shadows of the internet. I didn't know what to believe. All I knew was that I'd faced the thing that haunted me, and I hadn't let it in. When I finally went home, the city felt different, brighter, safer, as if a weight had been lifted. I slept for the first time in weeks, dreamless and deep. But in the morning, as I reached for my phone, I hesitated. The fear was still there, but it was smaller now, something I could live with. The days that followed felt like waking up from a long, feverish dream. I kept waiting for the other shoe to drop, for the black square to reappear, for the buzzing to start again, for my reflection to twist into something I didn't recognize. But nothing happened. My phone worked like normal. My accounts were clean. Even the chair in my bedroom was just a chair again, no longer a symbol of dread. Sam checked in every day, sometimes in person, sometimes with a quick text. Priya sent me a list of digital hygiene tips: change your passwords regularly, don't reuse logins, keep your devices updated, never download anything you can't verify. I followed every rule, but I still felt a lingering unease, like a shadow at the edge of my vision. I started to write about what happened, not for the internet, not for anyone else, but for myself. I needed to make sense of it, to put it into words, to take back control of the narrative. The more I wrote, the more the fear faded, replaced by a sense of power, of ownership. I realized that the real danger wasn't the app, or the code, or even the thing in the shadows. The real danger was letting fear dictate my life. I went back to my routines, slowly at first. I met friends for coffee, went for long walks, even started streaming again, carefully, with every safeguard in place. My audience was smaller, but more loyal than ever. They asked about my break, about the rumors that had started to swirl online. I kept my answers vague. Just needed some time away, I'd say. Had to deal with some personal stuff. Most people accepted it. A few pressed for details, but I never gave them more than I had to. One night, as I was wrapping up a stream, I got a message from an old friend. "Hey, did you ever hear about that app, Blackout? Someone posted about it on a forum I follow. Said it's cursed or something." My heart skipped a beat. I typed back, "Yeah, I heard about it. Don't go looking for it. Trust me." He replied with a laughing emoji, but I could tell he was curious. I wanted to warn him, to tell him everything, but I knew it wouldn't help. Some lessons you have to learn for yourself. That night, I dreamed of the app one last time. I was back in the dark room, the phone in my hand, the black square pulsing on the screen. My reflection stared back at me, but this time, it was calm, at peace. The shadows were gone, the fear replaced by a quiet strength. I woke up smiling, the memory of the dream lingering like a promise. I realized then that surviving wasn't about forgetting what happened, or pretending it never existed. It was about accepting it, learning from it, and moving forward. I started to see echoes of my story everywhere, on forums, in DMs, in the nervous laughter of other people who'd had their own brushes with the unknown. I realized that the internet is full of doors, and most of the time, we open them without thinking. Most of the time, nothing happens. But sometimes, something looks back. I made it my mission to help others set boundaries, to talk openly about digital safety, to remind people that it's okay to be afraid, but it's not okay to let fear win. I told my story in pieces, never giving away the whole truth, but always leaving a warning: be careful what you let in. Be careful who you trust. And if you ever see a message that feels wrong, a glitch that makes your skin crawl, a shadow that lingers too long, don't ignore it. Don't let it in. I started to notice how many people were searching for something online, how many were drawn to the forbidden, the mysterious, the things that promised a glimpse behind the curtain. I saw it in the way people whispered about haunted apps, in the endless threads about lost media and digital curses, in the late-night confessions of strangers who'd seen too much. I realized that what happened to me wasn't unique. The internet is full of doors, and every day, someone new is tempted to open one. Sam and Priya became my anchors. We met up often, sometimes just to talk, sometimes to check in on each other's digital lives. Priya started a blog about cybersecurity, sharing what she'd learned from our ordeal. Sam became the go-to guy for anyone in our circle who had a weird tech problem or a suspicious link. We joked about starting a support group for people who'd survived the digital uncanny, but beneath the humor was a real sense of community, a bond forged in fear and survival. I kept writing, turning my experience into a story I could control. I posted anonymously on forums, warning others not to go looking for things they couldn't understand. Some people believed me. Most didn't. A few reached out, sharing their own stories, different details, same fear. It was comforting, in a way, to know I wasn't alone. But it was also terrifying. The thing that haunted me wasn't just mine. It was out there, waiting for someone else to stumble across it. One evening, months after it all began, I got an email from an address I didn't recognize. The subject line was blank. The body of the message was just a single link. My heart skipped a beat. I hovered over the link, my finger trembling, the old fear rising in my chest. But I didn't click. I deleted the email, emptied the trash, and turned off my computer. That night, I dreamed of the app again. But this time, the room was empty. No shadow, no blurred face, just sunlight streaming through a window I'd never seen before. I sat in the chair, feeling the warmth on my skin, the fear melting away. I woke up smiling, the memory of the dream lingering like a promise. I realized then that the real curse wasn't the app, or the shadow, or the fear. It was the temptation to look, to know, to chase the darkness even when you know it's dangerous. Curiosity is a powerful thing, and sometimes it leads you places you can't come back from. I started to set boundaries for myself. No more late-night internet rabbit holes, no more chasing after forbidden knowledge. I focused on the things that made me feel alive, friends, family, the simple joys of everyday life. I learned to appreciate the ordinary, to find comfort in the familiar. But I never forgot what happened. I never forgot the lesson I learned. Some doors are better left closed, some questions better left unasked. The internet is full of mysteries, and not all of them want to be solved. Sometimes, when I'm alone at night, I still feel the urge to search, to see if the app is out there, waiting for someone else to find it. But I resist. I remind myself that I survived, that I have a choice. I turn off the computer, close the curtains, and let the night pass. And if I ever hear a knock at the door, or see a shadow move in the corner of my eye, I remember the app, the room, the lesson burned into my memory. I remind myself that I am stronger than my fear. The seasons changed, and with them, the sharp edges of my fear softened into something quieter, more manageable. I found myself laughing again, making plans, letting the world in. But the memory of that night, the app, the shadow, the chair, never left me completely. It became a story I carried, a private scar, invisible to everyone but Sam, Priya, and a handful of strangers on the internet who understood what it meant to be haunted by something you couldn't explain. One afternoon, I met Sam and Priya for coffee at our favorite spot, sunlight streaming through the windows, the city alive with the easy rhythm of people who had never seen the things we had. We talked about work, about life, about nothing in particular. But as we were leaving, Priya paused, her hand on my shoulder. "You know," she said, "I still think about it. Not every day, but sometimes. I wonder if it's really over." I nodded. "Me too. But I think we made it out. I think we're okay." She smiled, but there was a shadow in her eyes. "Just promise me one thing. If you ever get another message, another link, don't open it. Call us first. We'll face it together." I promised, and I meant it. I'd learned the hard way that some things are too big to face alone. That night, as I walked home, the city felt different, brighter, safer, as if the world had shifted back into place. I let myself believe, for the first time in a long while, that I was free. But as I turned the key in my apartment door, I felt a chill run down my spine. The room was just as I'd left it, but something felt off. The air was heavy, the silence too deep. I checked my phone, half expecting to see a new message, a new icon. But the screen was blank. I set the phone down, took a deep breath, and tried to shake off the feeling. That night, I dreamed of the app one last time. But this time, I wasn't alone. Sam and Priya were there, standing beside me, their hands on my shoulders. The room was filled with light, the shadows banished to the corners. The chair was just a chair, ordinary, harmless, stripped of its power. I woke up with a sense of peace I hadn't felt in months. The fear was still there, but it was smaller now, something I could live with. I realized that surviving wasn't about forgetting what happened, or pretending it never existed. It was about accepting it, learning from it, and moving forward. I started to write again, not just about the app, but about everything, the fear, the hope, the way the world can change in an instant. I shared my story, not to scare people, but to remind them that they're not alone. That even in the darkest moments, there's a way out. That sometimes, the only way to break a curse is to refuse to let it define you. The internet is still full of mysteries, still full of doors waiting to be opened. But I've learned to be careful, to trust my instincts, to listen to the voice that says, "Not this time." I've learned that some stories are warnings, and that sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is walk away. If you're listening to this, if you've ever been tempted to click a forbidden link, to download an app you know you shouldn't, remember my story. Remember the chair, the shadow, the lesson I learned the hard way. Curiosity is powerful, but so is fear. And sometimes, fear is the thing that keeps you safe. Maybe the strangest part is how ordinary life becomes again, even after you've seen the edge of something you can't explain. I went back to work, met friends for dinner, called my parents on Sundays. I learned to laugh at things that used to scare me, to let the world in again. But every so often, I'd catch myself glancing at a dark screen, half expecting to see that black square, that pulsing icon, that impossible shadow flickering in the background. It was like a phantom limb, gone, but still there, a part of me I couldn't quite forget. I started to notice how many people are searching for something online, how many are drawn to the forbidden, the mysterious, the things that promise a glimpse behind the curtain. I saw it in the way people whispered about haunted apps, in the endless threads about lost media and digital curses, in the late-night confessions of strangers who'd seen too much. I realized that what happened to me wasn't unique. The internet is full of doors, and every day, someone new is tempted to open one. Sometimes, I'd get messages from people who'd read my story. Some were skeptics, poking holes in every detail, convinced it was just a dream or a clever hoax. Others were believers, sharing their own tales of things that followed them out of the screen and into the real world. A few just wanted reassurance, a voice to tell them they weren't alone. I answered as many as I could, always with the same advice: be careful what you look for. Some things want to be found, and some things want to find you. One night, months after I thought it was over, I got a call from Sam. He sounded tired, but there was a smile in his voice. "You up for a midnight walk?" he asked. No screens, no stories, just the city and the stars. We met outside, the air cool and clear, the city lights reflecting off wet pavement. We walked in silence for a while, just listening to the world breathe. Eventually, Sam spoke. "Do you ever wonder if it's still out there? The app, the shadow, all of it?" I nodded. "Sometimes. But I think it only has power if we let it. If we keep looking for it, keep feeding it with fear." He smiled. "Then let's not give it what it wants." We walked until the sky began to lighten, the city waking up around us. For the first time, I felt like I was really free, not because the fear was gone, but because I'd learned to live with it, to let it be just another part of my story. When I got home, I sat at my desk and opened a blank document. I wrote down everything I remembered, every detail, every feeling, every lesson. I didn't write it to burn or to forget, but to remember, to remind myself that I survived, that I chose to keep going, that I refused to let the darkness win. If you're hearing this, if you're tempted to chase the next mystery, to click the next forbidden link, remember, some stories are warnings. Some doors are meant to stay closed. And sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is turn away. I still keep my screens covered at night. I still pause before clicking on anything that feels wrong. But I'm not afraid anymore. I know what's out there, and I know I have a choice. So if you ever find yourself staring at an app you're not supposed to open, if you ever feel the weight of a shadow behind you, if you ever hear a voice calling from the darkness, remember my story. Remember that you're not alone. And remember that you can always choose to walk away. Because regret is a heavy thing. But survival, even with its scars, is a story worth telling.